Hi everybody, Cellini here. We're going to do a second video on kickboxing. I'm going to review the stuff we did, the principles. The first time the principles apply to all the ABCs, all the basics. Principles apply to everything in life as well as kickboxing. So that's our self-cultivation, our Zen activities. The principles we learn in these activities apply to everything in your life. So anyway, let's get into the kickboxing. As I told you in my first kickboxing video, I had a client that was doing it for 2 weeks and they started having knee problems. So I got into a pretty good dissertation on why that happens. So real quick, I'm just going to mention to you, you hyperextend your joints with force and pressure, you're going to damage those joints pretty quickly, start getting pain, and you can get some long-term damage. So when you're doing these techniques, start off slow, go very slow and easy, build up your speed and power, and never go full power when you're not hitting a pad or a bag or an opponent. So you have to be very, very careful not to hyperextend those joints. When you're just in the air practicing, once again, it's very easy to lock those joints. You got to keep that joint flexed just a little bit, quarter inch, half an inch, whatever it takes to make sure. So I'm just going to go through the basics real quick again for you. So we stand hip distance apart. All right, we can either be sideways or forward, one or the other, maybe even a little in between. But what you don't want is you don't want to be on a tightrope. If you're standing anyway like this and you start rotating, you're going to be off balance. You're going to lock up your knee joints, your hip joints, and hurt your low back. So you're hip distance apart, just like when you walk. You walk hip distance apart very, very freely. And by the way, we're in opposition here. When right leg goes out, left hand goes out. When we fight and punch, we're pretty much using we're going in opposition as well for balance and to create power. So we're going to start off with a basic stance. Keep your guard up. You don't want to cover your face. One hand can be high, one hand can be low, but basically here to protect you. We have our shoulders, our hips, our knees, and our toes like headlights on a car pointing at our target or our imaginary opponent if it's just in the air. So we can keep an easy fist. You close at the knuckles, 1, 2, 3, lock in with the thumbs. I mentioned before, you don't want to have your wrist up. If you hit a bag or a pad, especially if you're training in the air, eventually you hit a contact area, you don't want to have it down because you can sprain your wrist. Same thing left to right. You want these top two knuckles, the larger two. I always joke and say those are made for martial arts, for karate. You can see if I hit a fence, those top two, they're bigger and stronger as well, but my wrist is straight here. You'll be able to see a curve in my wrist. When I touch the little two knuckles, there's a bend in that wrist. When I touch the top two, you can see it's straight. I touch the little two, there's a bend in that wrist. So you want to keep it straight from the top two knuckles all the way through the joint, the elbow, and the shoulder. All right, so when we're punching, we're going to go on a straight line, A to B. Now, as I was mentioning, most people just punch with their arms. And that's part of the reason they're getting hyperextension. They're putting all that force in the arm. And you have no power just with your arm. Just like we've mentioned about a baseball swing. If you just do a little arm movement, that's a bunt. The ball goes nowhere. If you use your whole body, your legs, your base of support on the earth, right? You rotate from the hips and then the shoulders and the arms follow through. You get a lot of power like in a home run. So same principle, all principles in human movement apply. Principles work on all the ABC. So basic punch, we're going to keep very, very resilient, very relaxed. We're on the balls of our feet a little bit. Heels are very loose on the ground. 3 bowls of water always. You turn on your center like a pony on a merry-go-round, or you're on a pole here. Keep that axis of rotation straight. Keep very bouncy and resilient. You're going to go straight out. We're going to twist on the balls of the feet. So now our hips and shoulders and feet have actually turned sideways, but we don't want to over rotate or turn too far. And we want to keep our eyes and our hands, or a second set of eyes, always pointing at our target or our opponent. So we're going to punch out without locking, come back, and we're facing forward. Now, so that you're not wide open here, because here's some of your target areas. You want to keep your knees in, squeezed in a little bit. If kickboxing, if you had an opponent, protecting your groin, and then elbows checking the ribs in the body, and hands about here. So if a punch comes in my head, I can go up, block this side, I can block down, I can rotate and block this way. So you're not just standing here wide open. When you rotate, now you're a small target. Now there's not really any target area. Remember, when we punch out, this hand is hitting, the non-striking hand is open like a catcher's mitt, ready to catch anything from opponent, imaginary opponent, if you're training in the air, that comes in. Now, punch, rotate, come back. Punch, rotate, come back. Very simple. This is your jab, your front hand movement. This is speed, jab, keep the opponent away, very quick movement. You can do the same thing with your leg. You bring that knee up, you want to rotate again, and you're going to hit with the instep or the ball of the foot if you want to do more damage. Come back and set down. So that's our jab. So our jab kind of here. Jab, jab. And I want you to go that fast. Just take it slow. So 1, 2. We did it with the leg. Leg comes up. and back. Those are our jabs or our front side movements. Now you're going to get more power off the back side. This would be a cross in boxing or a reverse punch in karate. We can go to the head, we can go to the body here. We're working straight angles right now, very simplistic. Now, when that hand goes out, remember, this hand is going to cover, not in front of your face so it doesn't get hit there. But I can block down, I can go up, I can even block across if I need to. All right, so 1, 2. 1, straight line, top 2 knuckles focusing on your imaginary target. If you're hitting to the head or chin, use your own chin as a guide. Use an imaginary mirror. If you're hitting to the solar plexus, hit your own solar plexus, the ribs, wherever it is. If you're randomly punching all over, then eventually if you work with a partner, sparring partner, you're not going to be able to hit anything, or a focus pad or a bag. So try to hit the same spot each time. So front side, a little jab, the cross, body shot or head shot, the front side jab or with the leg, front kick, kick. We also, remember, have the straight kick, up and just straight. We want to keep those low. Could be a groin shot or a body shot. You could come up to the chin, but we'll train that later. The round kick, again, just kick low, low ribs. Thai boxers hit to the back of the leg with that shot. Power side, you're going to come through that center position up to that chamber where you get your power. Rotate off the back leg and do that kick. If you're doing a straight kick, you just rotate, come straight in. Keep your guard up. Straight in, back off to the right hand side. The tendency that people do, they'll kick and step on the tightrope and then they twist and they're off balance. If you're kicking right, step off to the right hand side half a step, whether you go forward or back. Kick, stick back to the right hand side. If you're doing the round kick, you come through that center. They all look like the basic or start the same way. All kicks at this point, they should look the same. You don't know what kick is coming. I can go front here, I could turn into a side kick, which we're not going to do, a round kick, I could come up and hook. Depends on what you want to do, but they all should look the same in the starting position so you can kind of fool your opponent. So I'm going to go through the basics again. Front hand jab, front leg jab or kick, backside for power, different levels. Karate, we even go take this down to the groin. They don't do that in boxing. Your front kick here, any level, and your round kick. Those are your basics right now. We're going to keep it very, very simple. Okay, now we want to combo up a little bit. So we're going to have front hand jab and backside cross. So left, right, or the other side obviously would be right, left, that hip distance apart. So you get a 1-2 combination. 1-2 combination. 1-2 combination, add a front kick. 1-2 combination, add a round kick. 1-2 front leg front kick, and 1-2 front kick back leg. So very, very basic right there. Now we're going to get just a little bit of more advanced right here, a little bit extra movements. All right, so these are linear, A to B. Quickest way for me to get to A to B is a straight line. However, if your partner's guard is guard up, you hit, especially if you have both high shots, he blocks right there. Now you can go around. We have a rich hand in martial arts, but boxers call this a hook, and you hook to the body. All right, so we don't want to go way around the corner. Once in a while we will, but that's very easy to block. So we want it to start to come in like that straight jab, just like that kick. That leg starts here. You don't know where it's going to go at that point. So we want our hand to start coming out as if it's going to be a straight punch, and then we're going to use that shoulder and hips and body to hook it and then bring it back with our body. And again, you'll notice I'm starting to wind up just a little bit. You don't want to overwind and telegraph, but you start to come in, bring it in, it could go out, and we're going to use our body to throw it around. Body to hook, you can come back, or hook and bring it to a circle. Snap and come back, or a little circular motion. You can do the same thing with the right side. Snap it and come back. Notice it's a body movement initiating it, right? Or we can hook through, right? We also can hook to the body on either side, from the front or the back shot. You could do hook, hook, or body shot, okay? One last little thing I want to have you do is, now we're going to go 1-2. Now watch. Now this hand's going to go uppercut. So your target is focusing here. The weapons are coming in here. They're looking and blocking this area. You see the open space here. 1-2, I draw them out with an opening. This hand now turns to a cover. That comes up and hooks either into the chin, uppercut, or you can hook to the body. Same thing, we could go 1-2-3 backhand and then hook right up underneath, or 1-2-3 backhand and again hook to any part of the body. So those are your real simple basics. Okay, I'm just going to show you now, if you have a partner, a pad work, or a bag to work with, how you're going to work a little bit. So remember, front hand, back hand, Jordan. So right now I'm just going to show, this is my imaginary target, as if that were his chin face or if you had a real opponent you were hitting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start in my fighting stance, protect myself, pivot and hit, come back. There's your jab. We're going to go to the same target to the head. There's your cross, come back. Notice how the hands are switching. This one is closed, this one is open. As they start to switch position, this one opens, this one closed. We're always protecting ourselves. Most people think offense all the time. A defensive fighter will get you every time. Always think offense, or excuse me, defense. So what you're doing here is as you punch, you're thinking they're going to punch me at the same time. Protect yourself. I always think defense as I'm doing my offense. So we have a 1-2. Now I'm going to go to the body. Head body with that combo, 1-2, right? After that, 1-2, he's going to go here, protect the groin. I'm going to go to a groin shot, straight in with the front leg. A little bit lower, please. So 1-2, come back. 1-2. Now I don't want to stay leaning in here. If I do extend a little bit, I don't want to lean too much. Stay pretty centered where you can fight and protect yourself and move forward or back. Here, I want to come rotate back to that center and then kick. Okay, a little distance. So 1-2, and pop. A little lower with that kick. Groin shot. 1-2, and a groin shot. Don't try to go too high. I'll slow it down. 1-2, come back, protect. And I use my hands as if I was pulling, and use his hands as if I was pulling a rope for balance. I use an imaginary line here. Laser line, like I'm pulling on something. That push-pull helps me with my balance here. So I go 1-2. I think of kind of pulling into my guard and kicking. Now I'm going to go the 1. Remember, your body, head and body. Head, body, now groin, back leg's going to kick. 1-2, back to center, back leg's going to kick. All right, now I'm going to go 1-2 in round kick, especially if we were in this fighting position. So I'm going to go 1-2, now he's going to just drop that pad, one or the other, that would be better that way, round kick. Okay, so 1-2, come back, round kick. 1-2, round kick. Now if you notice I'm moving away a little bit just because of where he's at. 1-2, now I don't have to move away. I just come back to my center. 1-2, back to the center, balance up, use my hands to pull. Always keeping that guard up, protecting yourself. Now I'll use the back leg. Let's pretend that, come up a little bit, that when we're fighting, I go 1-2, he takes that left leg and steps back. Left leg and steps back. Step back like you do when you're fighting. 1-2. So just 1-2. Bam. Okay. Big step back like you're fighting. Get out of there. 1-2. Okay, slow it down. 1-2. He runs. I pivot. Come in. Sit down. 1-2. Guard up. Hit that target for me, please. Cover. Step in. I can do any other options there. Also, if I don't want to follow up, I just want to get away. 1-2. Run, hit, come back, right back to my fighting position, more defensive. So quick, just 1-2, relax, 1-2, now I'm going to hook around and go to his head, so just bring that back up, 1-2, shoot, okay. Why don't you just hold your hand, your hand, 1-2, hook, 1-2, body shot. Go other side so you can see. 1-2. Now this covers. That would be the hook to the head. 1-2. That would be the hook to the body. 1-2. Now he's used to that coming in, or the hook. He protects his rib down. I go right up underneath his guard to the chin. So 1-2. Right. Body shot. I took a step in. 1-2. Right up into the chin. 1-2, hit. 1-2, 3, hit. So any angle, any combination you want to do. Cellini out. Number 3's coming.